What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Kings Court with me, Vincent Miracle, here for Fansided.com, GoldenGateSports.com, and of course, StatKingsNation.com. So be sure to go to all three of those websites for all your daily Kings news. Now, today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Jason Terry interview with the Sacramento Bee. We're going to talk about the Josh Smith and the Detroit Pistons possibly doing a deal with the Sacramento Kings. Who knows? We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the review of the Sacramento Kings versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Kings are moving on to the third round of the Summer League tournament. But first, like I said, we're going to start off with this. There was an interview that Jason Terry did with the Sacramento Bee where he was quoted in saying that DeMarcus Cousins' attitude was a bit shaky, and also that Rudy Gay is not a proven winner. I mean, those were the biggest takeaways from that interview. However, that is the part that most people only saw. What you guys missed was that he called DeMarcus Cousins a huge talent. He also called Rudy Gay a tremendous talent and something that you could build around. And those are two major facts. I mean, let's be honest. He did not do anything wrong. I see so many of you guys tweeting me and talking to me saying, you got to get him out of here. Why do the Kings even want him on their roster? What are they thinking? Just get lost now, Jason Terry. Why? What did he do? He stated the truth. I mean, let's be honest. DeMarcus Cousins' attitude is a bit shaky. I mean, led the league in technicals, I think 2 years in a row now, right? I mean, let's be honest, guys. What did he say that was wrong? Rudy Gay is not a proven winner? How many finals has he went to? How many games in the playoffs for Memphis was he a key contributor? Not many, because through most of those games when Memphis was in the playoffs, he was injured and sitting on the bench. That was Rudy Gay's career with Memphis. He was injured too many times. That's why they traded him away to Toronto. The only thing I have to say about Jason Terry is someone that the Kings could and would like to have on their roster, hands down. I mean, he can play both positions, both the point and the two spot. He's a great shooter from three. He's won 6 Man of the Year. He's been to the finals. He's won a finals. I mean, the guy has a nice resume, and it's definitely something the Kings would definitely love to have on their roster around their young talent. But you can't knock a guy who has built this, great resume to want to possibly go on and be a contender. I mean, he's in the twilight of his career. He's not 28 years old. He's not 23 years old. He's in his late to late 30s. I can't think of his age off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure he's in his 30s. He's on that twilight end of his career. He's soon to retire. He wants to be on a contending team. He wants to possibly win some more championships. He wants to retire as a Dallas Maverick. He will always be a Maverick. That's a quote from him in that interview. So you cannot be mad or knock Jason Terry on anything that he said. And that's just my opinion. If you disagree with me, leave your comments in the comment section below. Do you think what Jason Terry said about how DeMarcus Cousins is a huge talent, but his attitude is a bit shaky, and that Rudy Gay is not a proven winner, but he is tremendous talent and someone that you can actually build your franchise around? I mean, those are the things that he said. So, I mean, if you're offended by that, please let me know why. Leave your comments in the comment section below. And, of course, we have to get into this. Breaking news. Depends on when you're watching. If you're watching Friday, if you're watching Saturday, if you're watching Sunday, whatever day you're watching, there was news that broke out Thursday, I think July 17th. Yeah, Thursday, July 17th, by ESPN.com, that the Sacramento Kings and the Detroit Pistons are re-engaging in talks that would involve a deal that would involve Josh Smith sending him to Sacramento. I keep getting this question asked me: is that a good deal? Is that a good idea? Yes. I mean, I've stated on the show that I would rather have the Kings go after Josh McRoberts, who is a cheaper version, in my opinion, of Josh Smith. But Josh Smith is talent. I mean, he's borderline all-star talent. I mean, look back in those days in Atlanta. He was a borderline all-star. And I think the main reason why he, had one of his, worst stints of his career with Detroit in his debut season with them this past season was because they moved him to the 3 spot, playing next to Greg Monroe and Andre Drummond, which is not his natural position. I think Josh Smith is a stretch 4, and I think you learned that this past season when he was with Detroit. And that's not a knock on him at all. I mean, they made him shoot too many threes. That's what they were asking him to do, was to shoot by making him a forward player out on the wing. So I think the Kings need to go after him, mainly because they're also a small market team. When you are a small market team, you need to acquire as much talent as you can as possible. And a front court trio of Rudy Gay, DeMarcus Cousins, and Josh Smith is 100% unarguably talent. The biggest question for me is not about the talent, is not about the fact if the Kings should go get him or not. My biggest question is, will they fit together on the court? I mean, DeMarcus Cousins is going to get his hands on the ball more often probably than Rudy Gay or Josh Smith, if Josh Smith comes to Sacramento. Rudy Gay is going to get the ball, and Josh Smith also is going to want to at times get the ball and, at times have his own points. Does that work? I mean, Josh Smith has also had attitude issues in his past. There's been a history of him arguing with coaches and players. I mean, for example, this past season, there were times where Coach Cheeks, Maurice Cheeks, would bench and sit Josh Smith in fourth quarters of games because he wasn't listening. He would, suspend him for a game. I believe he only did that like once or twice. But he did do it because of, his attitude. He wasn't listening to him on the floor. And now you look at this offseason, and there was a report that has now been denied by Greg Monroe, but there was a report that Greg Monroe said that he would like to have Josh Smith traded. Again, Greg Monroe has come out and he's denied all of these statements. But if they weren't true and he wants to be a Piston like he says, why hasn't he redone a deal or, re-signed a contract or re-signed an extension? Why were there reports that the Pistons and the Houston Rockets were possibly doing a sign-and-trade deal? Those are all things you have to take into consideration. Maybe this move is something that the Pistons are doing just to keep, Greg Monroe on their roster. Excuse me. But yeah, for me, is it a good fit? I mean, I think it's worth the risk. I mean, you need to acquire talent. That's the biggest risk, is that then I think you do it. I also think that the Kings are probably doing it because Rudy Gay said that he wants to see what direction this franchise is going in before he signs a, extension with the team. Then, I think Josh Smith, because of his talent, could help in that favor. Or maybe could it help that DeMarcus, this is complete speculation and me going off on a little bit of a tangent, but Josh Smith, Kings bring him here. DeMarcus Cousins, on an interview with Bill Simmons, says, I think Rajon Rondo is the best point guard in this league, hands down. Josh Smith, Rajon Rondo were high school buddies. They played together on the high school team. Kind of recruiting there? Who knows? But it is possible. It is possible. What pieces the Kings would have to give up? That is a big question mark, because I think you're giving up already Derek Williams and Jason Thompson, and I also think you're giving up Jason Terry in this deal. So what other assets do you have? Probably Ben McLemore, if this is possibly a showcase for him this summer league. Who knows? Who knows? But leave your guys' comments in the comment section below. Do you think getting Josh Smith, with his ability to, shoot mid-range jump shots, stretch that forward, and at times, shoot the three? Not as many times as he did this past season. He's a great defender. He's very athletic. He's that type of player that would be a good fit if he meshes well, in my opinion. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you guys think that the way that Josh Smith plays, putting him back to that natural position as a stretch four, would be a good fit for Sacramento and a good idea for them to go after and do this trade with the Detroit Pistons? And the final topic of the day before we get into fan questions is the Sacramento Kings defeated 100-89 the Minnesota Timberwolves. Zach LaVine looked nice for the Timberwolves, but he did not look as nice as Ben McLemore, who I have been giving such a hard time on during this, summer league process. But these last two games, he has kind of just stepped up. He's hitting those jump shots. He's taking smarter shots, and those smarter shots are resulting in made baskets. He went 7 of 11. I believe he scored 22 points. I mean, Ben McLemore led this team from the beginning of this game, and I think it was such a nice thing to see, especially for him. I think that he needs to have a big step up this season that he did last season. I think he was just acclimating himself to the NBA. But another reason why I think that he needs to step up is because, I don't know how many of you guys watched the Grantland video of Draft 2.0. I've stated this earlier in another video. But at the end of that video, when the Kings drafted Nick Stauskas, Pete D'Alessandro turns to someone and says, "We will find out if this is a good pick in 2 years." Of course, he was talking about Nick Stauskas, but was that their same mindset when they drafted Ben McLemore? We'll find out if this is a good draft pick in 2 years. This is Ben McLemore's second year. And I feel like the last 2 months of this last season was when he really showed his potential. Struggled through the first few games of Summer League. Now he's starting to ramp it back up. I mean, I think there's a lot of weight on Ben McLemore's shoulders right now to improve on what he's done. I think that they're looking for him to average at least 12 points a game over his 7 that he did. And I think they want his 3-point. They want his 3-point percentage to go up, his field goal percentage to go up, and he's going to need to learn still to develop a shot off the dribble and to finish around the basket just a bit more. But I mean, he got to the free throw line 6 times, made all 6 buckets. 7 of 11 shooting. You can't deny the talent that Ben McLemore did. Kings are now moving on to the second round. Well, technically third round because they got a first round bye. So third round of the Summer League tournament, which is awesome to see. And now I believe they're on a 3-game winning streak. Pretty awesome, right? 3 games in a row. Let's see if they can make it 4. All right, guys. Now I'm going to be taking your fan questions. If you have a question that you want to get on the show, you can email your questions to sknarticles@gmail.com, or you can tweet in your questions to @sknarticles, or you can tweet myself at VMCenter. Now, the first question of the day comes from Let's Go Sack. His question is, how do you think the Jason Terry situation will end? Will he get traded, released, or play for us? I don't think he's going to get released. I don't think the Kings are going to release him. I think he will get traded. That is my prediction. I have a strong prediction that he's going to be traded. To where, I do not know. But, let's like I said, let's pump the brakes on it. I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. I mean, the Kings aren't in a huge rush to get rid of him. He wants to be traded, yes, but that doesn't put him in the Kings in a huge predicament to trade him. He still can shoot the basketball. He still brings that veteran leadership to the game, each game, to players like Ray McCallum and Ben McLemore, who I think he would have a great mentor towards him if he would stay. But, that's the situation. It's not that big of a deal to me. Will he get traded? I believe so. Will he play for the Sacramento Kings? I think he will if he has to. And I think that's just him being a professional. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But thank you for your question. Let's go, Sack, as we move on to the next one here. And the next question comes from, reading the name, it says, do you think the Kings will get Josh Smith? Do you think the Kings will get Josh Smith? Like I said, yeah, I do think the Kings will get Josh Smith. When? I do not know. I believe it will be before the season. I also believe it will be before training camp. But with how much steam is behind this, I think that it's undoubtedly true that the Sacramento Kings will be getting Josh Smith somehow in a trade. It'll be interesting to see, though. And this comes from Adam Allen BYU. Thank you. The name finally cleared out. So Adam Allen BYU, thank you for your question. But yeah, do I think the Kings get Josh Smith? I do. I mean, he brings so much. He's athletic. He can dunk the ball crazy. He's been in a dunk contest. I believe he was an All-Star one time, or he was about to be an All-Star. I can't remember off the top of my head here. But yeah, Josh Smith is a crazy good talent. You can't deny the talent that he brings. This is a small market team of Sacramento. Not a lot of players want to come play here unless it's like a winning team. And if the Kings want to be winning, you need to have talent. The biggest question is, do you think that the Kings will mesh together right with DeMarcus Cousins, Rudy Gay, and Josh Smith? You leave your questions in the comment section below. Again, is Josh Smith a good fit for Sacramento? That's the biggest question. Not should the Kings go get him. Hands down, the Kings should go get him. But is it a good fit? I mean, they have to take the risk. In my opinion, you have to take that risk. But thank you for your question. Our next question comes from Mr. Baca. Would you be surprised if Stauskas was the starter come October with the way he's been playing? No, I wouldn't be surprised. Even Jonathan Santiago came on this show, and he said that there are people in the Kings front office that believe Nick Stauskas would be the starter on most NBA teams now. So, I think that what Stauskas is showing in Summer League, even this past game on Thursday, that, he can do more than just score. He can pass the ball. I believe I am sure, but Ray McCallum and Nick Stauskas led the team with 5 assists each. And I think the biggest thing for Stauskas is for him to become more aggressive. He's not aggressive enough. He needs to shoot that basketball. He needs to continuously drive to the basket like he was doing in both Game 1 and Game 3 of Summer League. So I think those are the kind of two biggest takeaways that I have to get from Nick Stauskas. But no, I would not be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Ben McLemore is the starter either. The way Ben McLemore has been playing as of late, could have earned him that starting spot. But I wouldn't be surprised come October, come opening night, whether that be a home or away game, that Nick Stauskas is the starting shooting guard for the Sacramento Kings. All right, thank you, Mr. Baca, for your question. And our last question of the day comes from Stephen Quire. It says, do you think that PDD, guessing you mean Pete D'Alessandro, and company are trying their best to sign players, but nobody wants to play in a, quote, cow town? Not making fun, I love Sac, but players may not feel the same and don't want to sign. No. Do I think that Pete D'Alessandro is doing his best to sign players? I believe is your question. Yes, I do think that. The thing is, it's hard to sign players when you're this close to the cap. You have Rudy Gay making $19.3 million because of his player option. You gave max deal to DeMarcus Cousins. Both, I believe, Carl Landry and Jason Thompson are making a little over $6 million a year, which is, very expensive for both of those players. You have so many players on this team. Most of them are probably not going to even be on this part of this team's future, like Jason Thompson, like Derek Williams, possibly even not even Carl Landry in a few years. So I believe, wholeheartedly that Pete D'Alessandro is trying his best to sign players, but it's not the fact that it's Cowtown, but the fact that they don't have the money to spend to go after. That's why that's why they did the deal with Phoenix for that $7 million trade exception, so they can get money to do a trade that would bring in a more expensive player like possibly Josh Smith. But do I think that he's doing all he can to get a player? For sure. There's no doubt in my mind that Pete D'Alessandro is definitely giving out all he can to sign a player. Maybe it's not going to happen this year. Maybe it's next year when they have more cap room and have a bit more money. But it's patience. It's a rebuilding process for Sacramento. They're going to be continuously in a rebuilding process until they, find players that actually fit whatever system they are going for. Because, I still haven't defined this system that the Kings are going for. They want to be defensive minded with, Coach Malone, but this is not really a defensive minded team. If your defensive anchor is DeMarcus Cousins, like it was last year, just like last season, you're going to finish at the bottom of almost every defensive category like they did this past season. They'll do the same next season if it stays the same. So I think that's why they go after a player like Josh Smith, who is a defensive-minded player, although he can be at times lazy on the defensive end at the same time, but athletic. That's what they're going for. They're going for players that have talent, and you can't be. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with that. I think that 100%. Pete D'Alessandro is definitely trying his best to acquire as many players as he can through free agency and getting them to sign. It's just hard when there's, no cap space or money to work with. But alright guys, that is the show for the day. Be sure to leave all your comments in the comment section below, whether you agree or disagree with anything that I've said, whether you believe Josh Smith is a good fit for the Sacramento Kings. That is the biggest question here. Hit that like button, please, to let us here at Sac Kings Nation know that you guys are enjoying this episode. You like this episode. I want to give a big shout out to Marley Silverbrand for doing all the editing on this show. Too bad Eli cannot be on the show today, but he will be on sooner rather than later. Again, if you are not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. because it really does help us here at SatKingsNation.com, Fansided.com, and GoldenGateSports.com to let us know that you guys are enjoying these episodes. It really just helps us out and gives us encouragement to get these shows even better and better. And, we'll be having a show again on Monday. So until next time, Kings fans, bye-bye.